This is Hank Kunneman. If you're unfamiliar, he's a televangelist who runs a mega church in Omaha, Nebraska, I believe. He is unglued from reality. He's a Trump prophet, claims to prophesy in the name of Donald Trump, says that God wants Trump to be the president and everything. It's insane. There is a Trump religion that exists, and this guy is one of the leaders of that religion. So I want to listen to what he had to say. This is one of his services. I just picked one at random. I think this one is, this is from his archives. It's February 4th, 2024. So let's see what he has to say for himself, shall we? He rails against communism, quote unquote, constantly. It's crazy. And while we listen to this, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you never played it shouldn't bother you too much. You'll be in the background, just running around doing whatever. So, all right, let's listen.
Talk about imprecatory prayers. That's what we've kind of been talking about. But
imprecatory prayers, by the way, are prayers where you curse people. You pray for God to destroy someone's life or kill them or whatever. That's imprecatory prayer.
I want to go back and really bring a little bit of a review to the origins of some of the evil. Really, what I believe in the earth, there's really only two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of God, and there's the kingdoms of darkness.
I find that really interesting that he says that, because actually there's the kingdom of God and there's the kingdom of heaven in the Bible, and Jesus mentions each. So when he talks about people going to heaven, he's obviously referring to the kingdom of heaven. When he talks about the kingdom of God, he's talking about a real literal kingdom on earth that's going to cover a certain span of space, 1,500 miles or something like that. I don't remember now. And Jesus, or the Son of Man, is supposed to be like the king. That's the way that the lore goes. The Son of Man is going to be the king of the kingdom, and that kingdom will be the kingdom of God and rule for all eternity. So he says there are really two kingdoms, the kingdom of God and the kingdom of what?
There's really only two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of God, and there's the kingdoms of darkness.
No, he's forgotten the kingdom of heaven. Is he aware that there is supposed to be a kingdom on earth? Or does he think there's just a kingdom in heaven? This guy doesn't know anything about, he doesn't know the first thing about his beliefs, does he? Or about the Bible.
And both are wanting to infiltrate the kingdoms of this world. In fact, the scripture even says that the kingdoms of this world shall become the kingdoms of our Lord and his Christ.
Yeah, it says, it's talking about the Son of Man. Yes, the Son of Man is going to be the political leader of the kingdom of God, which it's believed it'll be in Israel. The Son of Man will take political control of Israel, and he will unite the entire region under his leadership, just like it was under King David. And it will rule for all eternity. That's the kingdom of God. Now, I don't know if this is Hank Kunneman's belief specifically, but people like Helgard Muller and others who have, that guy actually wrote a book called Donald Trump, the Son of Man, the Christ. People like that believe that America is New Israel. Anytime you hear somebody refer to New Israel, quote unquote, they probably believe that America came into covenant with God, and the political leader of America is the Son of Man, taking the role that was expected to be taken by Jesus when he comes back. And who took political control of the United States, of New Israel? Well, Donald Trump did, of course. If you hear people refer to New Israel, they likely believe Trump is the Son of Man, the second coming of Jesus. I'm pretty sure that Hank believes that, but I'm not sure if I've actually heard him come out and say it publicly.
Of our Lord and his Christ. And if the church is in a very, I'll call it a wuss state, where the pastors are cowards and the congregation, all they want is just to come and have their ears tickled.
What?
And never engage in society, never challenge what's coming from the culture or what's being legislated through our politics, then the kingdoms of darkness will all...
So he's saying if a church doesn't integrate themselves into the political system,
then the kingdoms of darkness will always prevail. It's why we have reached a place in the country, in the United States of America, that we have the kind of battle, the kind of division, the opinions that we have, is because the church has been quiet.
So what he's saying is he wants to force people to live life the way that he wants them to live. He doesn't want trans people to be allowed to live the life that they want to live in the United States. He doesn't want gay people to be allowed to live in the U.S. Quick note before we continue, I want to let you know I just wrote a book. If you want to check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. It's a book about my experiences within Jehovah's Witnesses. It's completely understandable if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you're a Christian, it's a good reference to use for why Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong about their interpretation of the Bible. The last chapter of the book is 100 questions that I have for the governing body. I'm selling the last chapter separately as its own separate guide if you guys want to get that too. So check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. I'd appreciate that. This is like as disturbing as it gets, honestly.
Have taken the passive route. They don't want to offend anyone, and then they've taken the route of, well, don't get involved in politics. And they don't understand that when Jesus was saying, let your light shine upon the earth, don't hide it. He wasn't just talking about some evangelistic crusade.
He wasn't? Jesus said, let your light shine. Be a beacon, basically, to the world. Show the world that you love Jesus and that you're a good person and all of that, and talk about being a good person and caring for the poor. Be a beacon to the world around you. Jesus cared about caring for the poor, and that's it. And what is Hank twisting that command into?
Where you go out and it's all about missions and evangelism, which is an integral part. But he's not talking about just holding a sign and letting your light shine or letting the boss know that you're a good worker and you're a good Christian. He's talking about a light. What did the light do in the beginning of Genesis? The earth was without form. The earth was void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. What did God do to counter the darkness? What did God do to counter that which was void, that which was without form? He sent light.
So I don't know what the hell he's doing or how he's twisting this around, but he's basically saying Jesus didn't just want people to talk about the good news and help the poor. In fact, Hank seemingly doesn't even believe that Jesus wanted people to help the poor. As far as I can tell, Hank seems to think that the poor should help themselves. Lazy, worthless people should get a job, that kind of mindset. That's what it seems like to me. But Hank isn't saying that Jesus wanted that. He's saying Jesus wanted people to integrate themselves into politics. That is a wild twist on what Jesus had to say. And I am honestly not even sure how he got there.
Everybody knows, and if you're in the kingdom of darkness, do you think the devil loves the light? Do you think he loves John the Baptist, who came to speak, as the first chapter of John says, of the light? The light was Jesus, who lights all men. And do you really think that he wanted Jesus here in the earth? And he wants you as Christians?
Who is he? Is he talking about John the Baptist? The book of John was written I don't know, somewhere around 100 years after Jesus came along, a while after at the very least, and did not really represent what Jesus wanted or who he was at all. The book of John seemed to kind of espouse the Trinity. It espoused the idea that Jesus was the Son of Man, and he wasn't. Or he didn't believe himself to be, at the very least. And his apostles didn't believe him to be the Son of Man either. The guy that was going to come and take political control of Israel and all that junk, he didn't believe that about himself. It wasn't until way, way, way later that anybody even suggested it. The book of John seemed to kind of imply it, and in a few places outright said that Jesus was the Son of Man. There are like 11 I am statements. I am the truth, the way, the truth, and the light. I am he. I am the one that'll blah, blah, blah. Whoever wants to come to the Father has to come through me. I am the conduit, that type of deal. But the original books did not even imply that. Like the book of Mark, for example, didn't even imply that Jesus believed that stuff. He did not believe that about himself even. That's the point.
And he wants you as Christians to emulate Jesus and to get involved in all aspects of society and affect the governments of this earth? No. So he'll bring some kind of lie. It's why 40 million people have not yet registered to vote in our country.
Wow, dude. Are you hearing what he's saying right now? This guy is unironically trying to get people to get politically involved because that's what Jesus would do. This is insane. This is insane. So tell me, Hank, how involved in politics was Jesus when he came? Did Jesus run for like political office or whatever? I guess that, they didn't really have politics in the same way. I guess religion and the law were kind of inextricably linked to each other at the time. Back in Jesus' day. Yeah, Jesus was not trying to push people to like get involved in politics like this. That's insane. In fact, the Bible says, doesn't it? What was it? It says, give to Caesar what is Caesar, give to God what is God's, and follow the instructions of the laws follow the laws, your local laws of your district or whatever, because those people are placed there for a reason. God put them there, and if he didn't, then they wouldn't be there, basically. So just let things play out the way they play out and follow instructions, pretty much. Just don't make waves. Your goal is to help people come to an understanding of, like, the Bible, basically. It was kind of the implication that Jesus was making. Instead, we've got Hank Kunneman here trying to communicate that Jesus wanted you to run for political office and not help the poor, seemingly, at all. Like, what the hell?
And what's sad is 40 million, in addition, evangelicals, those that call themselves Christians, don't even vote. Can you imagine if 80 million, 40 million would register, 40 million evangelicals would vote right? Would vote the right way? We wouldn't have the nonsense. And the reason...
Oh, that was subtle. Would vote right. Would vote the right way. I mean, you catch that? He usually just comes out and says it, but that was very obviously him trying to say voting the right way is voting for the right-wing candidate, right? I mean, I don't know how he could be any clearer than that outside of just saying it.
That we've had, the kind of corruption that we've had, is because we have Christians and people voting in people that are being used by ancient spirits, demons who know exactly what they're doing, and they visit every generation to see if they can affect their politics, affect their media, affect their religion.
So he thinks demons are coming around and getting into shenaniganery. Is that what he's saying?
There's nothing new under the sun. And so when we're putting little check marks next to these, the liberal party, that is the party of, non-religion. They took
the left, the liberal party is a party of non-religion? No.
God right out of their party. You can sit on their party platform. I'm not making that up. When,
you can see it on their party platform. Oh my God, dude. This is such nonsense. His wife said this exact same thing a while back. Here, this is the clip right here. Check this clip out. This is Brenda Kunneman giving a sermon from their little stage or whatever. Listen to what she says here.
I can't find anything, and believe me, I've looked, anything on the left that is good to support. Okay, is filled with lies and homosexuality and abominations. And, in fact, the party, I'll just say it, the Democrat Party put straight up on their platform. That we are the party of the non-religious. We don't want God. We're atheists. That's what they've said. You can go read it yourself.
No, they didn't say that. The party platform doesn't say anything about that. What is she even talking about? Where did she find that? I mean, she didn't. It's just a lie. She lied about it. And I guess Hank Kunneman decided to carry on with the lie. It's just embarrassing how brazen these people are, how comfortable they are with just fabricating information, things that's simply not true, like at all. Just make it up. Why not? People aren't going to fact check you. And if they do, you'll just say, well, the fact checkers are lying because they're part of the deep state and they're evil and they're wrong and they're coming after us. It's shameless and disgusting, truthfully. They must know this, right? Are these people, they're not true believers, are they? I can sometimes tell if people are true believers or not. Like, I think Jehovah's Witnesses, their leadership, I believe that they are true believers. Hank Kunneman, I don't think he's a true believer. I think he's a liar. I think he's intentionally setting out to twist things around and lie to people and take advantage of them. In my opinion, I think that's what Hank Kunneman is doing. It's hard to know for sure.
The other day, I watched some Trump rallies. I want to know what they're saying. Not just him, but I want to know what other people are saying.
Oh, yeah, that's why he's watching Trump rallies, because he just wants to know. He just wants to know what Trump is saying is all. No big deal.
And they're in there saying, we are going to return our nation back to God. I was talking to Pastor Dutch, and he just came back.
Talking about Dutch sheets, I think.
From prayer in Washington, D.C. said, I've been to many of these. I've never seen so many people in the Congress, in the Senate, get down and literally pray because they know that without God, our country is finished.
This is psychotic, dude. This is absolutely wrong. And yeah, I believe it. I believe that there were probably a lot of people who started praying to Jesus and all of that junk because they realize in Congress that the evangelical voting bloc is valuable to them. They can use them to their advantage. This is just embarrassing. It's hard to tell if somebody is a true believer or not because it's like he's lying, straight up, flat out, bald-faced lying, right? But he could be lying because he wants to, convince people of the truth. A lie for Jesus is justified. That kind of deal. I've heard people say that kind of thing before. I've heard that justification before. Jehovah's Witnesses have that justification. It's called theocratic warfare. So, I have to wonder, is he doing his version of theocratic warfare, or is he just, straight up lying because he just wants to, increase his number of supporters or his donators or whatever? It's hard to know for sure. Tell me what you think. Is he intentionally and knowingly lying, or is he a true believer?
And he said, something is happening. And I said, exactly, and it needs to happen. But here's the point. While you have the party of the liberals, okay, I'm watching these.
By the way, everything that he's saying right now, this is supposed to get him, it's supposed to get his tax-exempt status revoked. This is an example of him basically violating Section 501c3 of U.S. tax code. That's what he's doing right now. And that is supposed to have his tax-exempt status. The consequence is supposed to be him losing his tax-exempt status. Dude, did I just die? I just died. Oh my God, this sucks. IRS is just not prosecuting these cases. Retry from before this battle. I think this is the one I wanted. I hope. I think churches are C4. No, churches are 501c3, I believe. They fall under the tax-exempt nonprofit umbrella. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure of that.
rallies, and I'm hearing, we're going to return our nation back to God.
Dude, imagine if Muslims were out here saying this at mosques. We need to take over the government in the name of Allah. We need to get as many people involved as humanly possible. Get Allah into government. How would these people feel about it then? I wonder, right? They'd be losing their minds. They would go as far as to like violate people's human rights, to ban Muslims from, you know, being involved in government, and it'd be challenged by people, go all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would affirm, yeah, Muslims can't be involved in government, that kind of thing. It's insane. These people desperately need help, for real.
We're going to allow religious liberties and freedoms. I'm hearing them say we're going to lower the gas prices and put money back into the pockets of people. We're going to close our border, and we're going to go after the terrorists that have entered into our country. We are going to do what we can to stop the wars that continually put our precious, beautiful soldiers' blood on the battlefield.
All right, this guy doesn't want any of that stuff. You think he wants to end wars? You think that he wants to what was the other stuff he said? You think that this guy wants to expand religious liberty? You think that that's what he's all about? Oh no, absolutely not. He wants to expand war. He wants to allow Russia into Ukraine, back out of that completely. And he wants to bring like troops into Israel. I would bet money that this guy wants to expand the war in Gaza to include American troops. He does not want to end wars. This is exactly what the America First Party did in the 1940s. The same exact tactic. The America First Party wasn't outright in favor of Hitler. It was kind of a different time back then. I believe that they could have been like arrested for being like supportive of an enemy of the state. They could have been hit with like a treason charge or something. I'm not really sure. So what they did was they started a party called America First that encouraged America to get out of World War II. It's not our battle. We have nothing to do with it. We need to be more isolationist, you know, that kind of thing. America First. That is the history of the America First Party. And here we sit with Hank Kunneman as an America First advocate once again. Dude, I am dying right now. This is bad. I was doing so well in the beginning, and now I suck. I just need to... There we go. Okay. When you hear them say America First, when I say them, I mean, when you hear anybody talk about America First, the America First Party, they're Nazis. Like Nick Fuentes is the leader of the America First Political Action Committee. He holds the AFPAC conference every year. He is a Nazi. I mean, self-avowed, full-blown Nazi. He claims to be a Nazi. This is what America First is. Hank Kunneman, like, he must know that, right? He must know the old affiliation with Nazism.
Continually put our precious, beautiful soldiers' blood on the battlefield. And then I get...
No, he's all for that. In Israel.
Over and I started watching some of the Democratic...
You catch what he said? Democratic. He wants to link the name with demon. I'm surprised he isn't just calling them demon rats the way that what's-her-name did. Oh, God. What was her name? God, I can't remember. Janine Pirro. Janine Pirro. That was her name.
Stuff. And all they're talking about is, we're going to fight. We're going to fight for abortion rights. We're going to kill more babies. And I'm sitting here thinking, if anybody understands the...
Wait, who said that? What did he just say? He said...
We're going to fight. We're going to fight for abortion rights. We're going to kill more babies.
Who said they're going to kill more babies? I missed it. I don't remember that. He just said they. I don't know who they is. Nobody is trying to kill more babies, quote unquote.
And I'm sitting here thinking, if anybody understands the ancient origins of why they are so bent on evil, why they call themselves liberals,
Oh my God. Ancient origins, i.e. they're secretly demons.
they call themselves the party of the left, is because they don't want anything that aligns with God. They don't want
Wait, does somebody call themselves the party of the left? I've never heard that.
anything that aligns with morality. They don't want anything that aligns with the opposite kingdom. There are only two kingdoms, the kingdom of God, the kingdoms of darkness, and both are trying to infiltrate the kingdoms and the governments of this world.
This is completely abiblical. This has no connection to theology at all. Jesus didn't support any of this. Even the Old Testament didn't support this. This is completely made up by Hank Kunneman.
And when people are putting check marks next to these people that legislate abortion, that you think it's okay to kill a baby inside the womb or outside of the womb.
Outside of the womb. That means post-birth abortion. You know what that is, actually? It's murder. Also, it's fake. Post-birth abortion doesn't exist. It's not real. It's never been real. Nowhere in the world is post-birth abortion practiced. Murdering babies is practiced in some underdeveloped countries that want to, I don't know, that just don't want kids or something. I have no idea. Murdering kids is probably common in certain areas in Africa, like the Congo, I would imagine. But they don't call it post-birth abortion there. They call it murdering babies. This is just made up nonsense.
And I tell you, you are empowering evil spirits. And it's why our country is so confused. It's why our country has gone through it, what it's gone through. Because, listen, the forces of darkness and our God understand the power of blood. They understand what gives spirits license. It's what activates the spirit world is blood. Why?
I don't know what that means. How is the spirit world activated by blood? He's just using cryptic terms that ultimately mean absolutely nothing.
The life of all flesh is in the blood. There are certain things that affect your life based on blood covenants, based on blood rituals, blood sacrifices. Why do you think they're bent on abortion? They want the blood of those babies so that they can continue to sacrifice to ancient demon spirits.
Wow, dude. I mean, this isn't new. This has been believed for a while, but the belief is that abortion is human sacrifice to the god Moloch. Obviously completely made up. It's a medical procedure that is necessary. But did that ever stop people from believing it or espousing that absolute nutter buttery? Of course it didn't. Well, check this out. Oh, yeah. Okay. If you guys don't know Mark Taylor, been a while since I played this clip. I think I played it the other day, but listen to this. This is Mark Taylor. He's a Trump prophet. There's a film made about him by Liberty University called The Firefighter Prophet, and they believe that he prophesied that Donald Trump would be the president in 2016. Like, God gave him this special information or whatever. Him and Kim Clement. Clement is dead now, so... Anyway, that's why this guy is so well respected by the evangelical community. They think he prophesied Trump. Listen to what he had to say about abortions back in late May 2022, okay? At the time, there was a formula shortage that we were trying to deal with, and obviously we got through eventually. We just ordered formula from Canada and Europe, and that was about the end of the shortage. But listen.
When politicians go to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, this is why they lose all wisdom. Columbia is another name for Baal, the District of Baal.
Okay, Baal is a Canaanite god mentioned in the Bible. And he was just like what was he? Was he a storm god? I wrote about this in my book. Shout out to the book. Check that out. owenmorgan.com/book. It's in the description. I don't remember what Baal was the god of. It was in the chapter A History of Mistakes. Near the end. The Apocalypse. Yeah, here it is. So Baal was a storm god associated with fertility. Molech, Molech, is a putative god of fire, husband of Ishat. So anyway, I don't know why they're talking about Baal. I thought they were monotheists. Don't they believe that there's only one God? Baal was a god.
They are working for and under the protection of the District of Baal, whose food source is the aborted babies. Do you think it's a coincidence that they are creating a food shortage for us? Did they know ahead of time that we were going after Roe versus Wade? They are going after our food sources because we are going after theirs.
Beautiful.
Which is the babies.
The babies. Do you think it's also tied into this baby formula shortage? Because it's so ironic that we're talking about what you just said.
Food source.
And the food source of babies is now being cut off. It's almost like the devil is trying to starve the babies that are living to death because the aborted issue is about to be cut off very soon.
Bro, get help immediately, okay? This is psychotic. This is nonsensical, psychotic garbage. And these people believe it. These people believe that Democrats want to eat babies and are upset that abortion was ended because now they can't eat babies. I don't even know what to do with that. The point behind that is Hank Kunneman has extremely similar beliefs, and that's why he's talking about human sacrifice and all of that to the God. It varies from person to person if they think it's a sacrifice to Baal or a sacrifice to Molech. I guess, what's his name? Mark Taylor, last guy, believed that it was a sacrifice to Baal. I don't think Kunneman has named what he believes it's a sacrifice to yet.
They want the blood of those babies so that they can continue to sacrifice to ancient demon spirits.
People are yelling, come on, yeah, that's right, that's insane.
Ancient demon spirits. You don't believe that blood and spirit are connected. Your own life, your own spirit came as a result of God breathing His life in you. Your blood began to flow. What happened after Jesus shed His blood on the cross? The Holy Spirit came. So every time these ancient spirits, these demons, they want more blood. Why do you think they want war?
Who is they? I don't understand. And again, Hank Kunneman wants more war. He just wants the wars that he wants, specifically. He wants Russia to win and take Ukraine, and he wants Israel to wipe Gaza off the map.
Blood. All right, let's talk about something before I preach to you. I was not going to do this, but can I have just a little bit of time today? I want to put up a prophecy from January here because Iran has been in the news.
It's Iran. It's pronounced Iran, but okay. Iran has been in the news. Go on.
And this was before the news of Iran. Our precious soldiers' blood is not cheap. 3 of them were killed. Look at what God said about Iran. This is
I'm not even sure what he's talking. 3 were killed? Like, what are you talking about?
January 21st, 2024. And I'm going to preach to you. Do not be moved by what you read, what you hear, what you see, what will be reported, even factually shall take place. For Iran, way before it happened, shall misbehave and shall create tension in the earth. Would you agree that's happening?
I mean, that's been happening for like 30 years. Iran has been the state sponsor of terrorism for like ever. You know, the United States long and long ago. Oh, I guess I killed them all. Sweet. The United States long and long ago created a dictatorship in Iran. They sponsored the Shah of Iran. They installed that dictator in, and he did whatever the United States told him to do. And it was like really, really disturbing. Some of the stuff, like he was a brutal, ugly, disturbing guy. And, the people were revolting. The Khomeini family, I think is who it was. The Khomeini family was kind of the leader of the rebellion against the Shah of Iran. And they got really, really close, the Khomeinis did, to finally taking power back. Until the Shah of Iran finally felt compelled to, conveniently exit Iran and go to the United States for medical treatment. Really convenient timing to do that, right? Anyway, I don't remember what happened to the Shah of Iran. He obviously died. He was an absolutely terrible, horrific person, from my understanding. But the Khomeinis took power. And they turned it into a theocracy. It used to be like a secular state. There are pictures of Iran from the 70s with women just sitting there in skirts and, hair out and reading a book on a bench. After the Khomeinis took over, all that ended. It turned into a theocracy, and, hijabs, burqas, niqabs, and stuff, those were all mandated. And they became a state sponsor of terrorism against the United States for what the U.S. did to them. Now, I get it. I get being upset over what the U.S. did. I don't believe in terrorism or violence ever. So I don't support that at all, no matter what. I don't care. But anyway, the Ayatollah Khomeini, the Ayatollah is like the religious leader in Iran. He took control of everything and started doing the whole terrorism thing and spreading it through the world and sponsoring terrorist groups all through the world, and has been sponsoring, let's see, they're Shia Muslims. So no, I'm sorry, they don't sponsor ISIS. Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims are different. They don't like each other generally. It's a lineage thing. Like, who had the authority to take control after Muhammad died? Some believe it was his son. Some believe it was the second in command, that kind of thing. So Sunni and Shia do not like each other. And Iran is Shia. ISIS was Sunni. Palestinians are Sunni. But I think Hezbollah from Syria/Lebanon, I believe Hezbollah is Shia and supported by Iran and other groups, that Iran supplies them with weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, ever since the Khomeini family took control, absolutely, they have been a state sponsor of terrorism against the U.S. That's why it's so, important that they not get nuclear weapons. That would be the worst thing to happen. And what did Donald Trump do? Of course, he blew up the Iran nuclear deal, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, the original Ayatollah Khomeini from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I think. That Ayatollah Khomeini put out a fatwa on people that he didn't like. Basically, he put out a hit on people like Salman Rushdie, who was quote unquote disrespectful to Islam. I mean, they went full blown nutcase in Iran after the Shah disappeared. So anyway, unfortunately, Salman Rushdie just got stabbed by somebody, by a Muslim during a public talk, even though the fatwa was ordered years and years and years ago. It's really disappointing stuff. So when he's talking about Iran, Hank is saying that he claimed that Iran was going to sponsor terrorism all these 2 years ago. Well, guess what? Iran's been sponsoring terrorism for 40 or 50 years. There's nothing surprising about that claim. The surprising thing here is that he thinks that he has like premonitions or something. Like what?
Why is there even yet another thing that shall arise in the Mideast among the nations, as they shall fight and spatter one with another, as tension shall arise in the Middle East, as you see things begin to unfold? Is this the rest, you say? God says, yes, this is my verdict, and it's resting. But the reason this is happening because hell fears what their day beholds, and what you see and what you will see are my judgments upon principalities and powers.
Like, this is so vague. I don't even know what he's trying to get at here. What's his point? Do not be moved by what you read, what you hear, what you see, what will be reported, and even what factually shall take place. For Iran shall misbehave and shall create tension in the earth. They've been doing that for like 50 years. I don't understand. Why does he think that this is prophetic?
Rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness, and they shall react to make you think that this is the end of all things. Don't fall into that trap. And to make you think there's not a better day at the light of the tunnel. Look at this from New Year's Eve. Watch this. How many know Syria just got bombed? Why? Notice the sequence. Pay attention.
Okay, Syria is north of Israel, and they have their own, I guess they're terrorist groups. They have their own terrorist groups in Syria. Hezbollah operates to the north of Israel a lot, and I believe that they're Shia and funded by Iran, like I said. Now, as far as I think that they're in Syria. Okay, so let's see what he has to say here.
There will be many signs, and I'll smoke it out in what? Okay, God's smoking out. Iran got hit. Now notice the
Iran.
next thing. I will expose it from the soil of what? This is New Year's Eve night. Why would God call Syria? He knew what was coming. And this is interesting. I'll shake it in Estonia, and I'll call it forth from Ukraine, and I'll show the earth how there has been a plotting, a planning, a strategy, a working together of evil. But God says there has been a countering that I will reveal, and I'll show for the one who all of heaven looks to and says, who is worthy to open the seals?
Okay, this guy is claiming to have given a prophecy, to have delivered a prophecy. And what's the prophecy he delivered? In 2023, okay, December 31st, 2023, 2 years after Ukraine was attacked by Russia, basically, his prophecy was that there will be like a disturbance in Ukraine. No shit, really. A disturbance, you say. And he also prophesied that there's going to be unrest in the Middle East. Really? Unrest in the Middle East, you say? No way. Knock me over with a feather. Wow, he really is a prophet, isn't he? That is super impressive. This is a joke. This guy is shameless. How does anybody believe this, honestly?
The Lord, eternal God, he stands in this governmental year, and it shall be known as the day of reckoning. It shall be known as the time of unsealing in deep places, hidden places. And some have gone on, and they are no more, but their names will be brought to a place of guilt. And there are those who are alive, who are trembling, and at this time, because they know who they are, they know what they've done, they cannot hide, neither can they run. But some will take their own life because of the time of reckoning, and the time of unsealing is upon the earth now, and what they've done to the children demands justice.
What they've done to... Who is they? And what did they do to the children exactly? So he claims this is a prophecy, guys, okay? This is supposed to be a prophecy that he just laid down for us. This is a joke.
So, this is why I'm preaching to you today. There are only two kingdoms. Why do you think Jesus said? Look at Luke chapter 11. I want you to look at what Jesus said. In Luke chapter 11, he was praying, and he finished praying, and one of the disciples came to him and said, Jesus, teach us to pray. How? John the Baptist taught his disciples to pray. Now notice the example Jesus gives. Now religion has made this a religious prayer. And it came to pass that Jesus prayed these prayers. Verse 2, he said, when you pray, you say, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Then you pray, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now notice he said, you are to declare thy kingdom come. That's imprecatory. You say, what's imprecatory?
So imprecatory, as he explained in the episode 5 days earlier than this one, is a prayer where you curse somebody. It's a cursing prayer. You're wishing for somebody's death, for example. That's imprecatory.
You are invoking the justice of God. I've shared this.
Oh, is that how he's phrasing it today? You're invoking the justice of God. Okay, well, I suppose that's a little more polite than praying for someone's death, so.
Example with you, those of you that are watching, if I was to go right before the Kremlin in Moscow, and I would put a United States flag right down before Putin's office and declare the kingdom of the United States is.
Did he say Putin? Putin? Is that what he's saying? Putin?
I would put a United States flag right down before Putin's office and declare the kingdom of the United States has come. Do you think that would go over well with Putin? In the same way.
He is. It's not even a mistake. He's just saying Putin. What a weird way to say Putin. Okay.
Hey, when you say thy kingdom come, every devil, the fallen one himself, Lucifer, the devil, Satan, he knows exactly what that means. And so he wants you to pray religiously. You are literally putting a declaration, a decree down, saying we command the kingdom of God comes, his light shine on the earth, and darkness has to flee. So there's only two kingdoms, and I want to show you this. Now go to Genesis 9. Let's go back into history. Let's look at why is there such a homosexual agenda today.
Wow, that kind of came out of nowhere. Why is there a homosexual agenda today? Okay. Well, I don't think there is a homosexual agenda today, but all right, go on.
Why is there such a bent on children and abortion? Where did all of this come from? Why?
It doesn't. It only exists in your head, Hank. My God, this dude.
Why are they bent on gender mutilation? Why are they bent, which is what they used to do back in Baal worship, is they would mutilate themselves.
I don't know how he knows that. I have studied this in pretty good detail, and I don't remember anything about mutilating themselves. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an expert on Baal worship. There are people out there that are. But I don't remember anything about that, for one thing. And for another thing, Hank Kunneman has no clue what he's talking about. None.
They would sacrifice their children and throw them into the fire to the god Ashtoreth and to Moloch.
Ashereth and Molech, yes.
All of this is rooted. Okay, why are they bent? Verse 20, Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard on the earth, and he began to drink the wine, verse 21, and he was drunk, and he was uncovered. Now, remember the last time that...
Okay, in the previous episode, on January 29th, the previous one that I covered, he talked about the curse of Ham. Basically, the curse of Ham was the result of Ham walking in on his dad Noah and seeing his buns, if you will. He saw him naked. Ham walks out, tells his brothers, Shem and whoever else, that his dad was naked in there. Drunk, passed out, naked. And his two brothers, grab a blanket and stand backwards and walk in backwards to drop the blanket over their dad so that they don't see him naked. Well, Noah finds out that Ham did see him naked, and he punishes him afterwards. He curses him. And all of his children beyond that point are cursed for like 10 generations simply for seeing him naked, so on and so forth. Hank Kunneman is reading past what the text actually says and claiming that the curse of Ham was not just because Ham saw his dad naked inadvertently, but because Ham enjoyed what he saw. Now, the text does not say that. He is inferring something from the text that cannot be found there. All that fundamentalism goes right out the window when it's no longer convenient to be used, when it's no longer convenient to him. He turns into somebody who interprets it metaphorically and looks into the history and so on and so forth when he thinks that he can use this to demonize being gay. Every other time he's a fundamentalist. Isn't that fascinating? So he claims that Ham didn't just see his dad naked. He claims that he desired his dad. It was a first homosexual act. That's why Ham was cursed. Bible doesn't say that.
You read the word uncovered. Uncovered is what happened to Adam and Eve when they sinned against the Lord, and they were uncovered. They were naked and they were ashamed. And God did something in Genesis 3, verse 21. You know what he did? Pay attention. God loves real fur coats. He does. Mylon Lefevre gave me a bobcat coat, and
God loves real fur coats. Okay.
Poured into a restaurant, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's a cool coat." And this lady, she's eating her beef, and she looks and she goes, "I can't believe that he killed that." And I'm like,
I was like, what the hell is he talking about, and why? Where did this come from? Wasn't he just talking about praying prayers where you curse people and you wish death upon them? Wasn't he just saying that a second ago? What does any of that have to do with fur coats?
"Whoa, that's a cool coat." And this lady, she's eating her beef, and she looks and she goes, "I can't believe that he killed that." And I'm like, "I can't believe that you killed your steak." I'm a vegan. That's what I wanted to say, but I just left her alone in her own ignorance. No, I don't know. I don't understand. What the hell is he talking about? I am so lost, it's not even funny. It was a little funny. That's a different story. But anyway, but God made coats of skin. And these were the first two mantles that were given on the earth.
Wait, God made coats of skin? I thought that, like, other people made those coats of skin. Is he saying that, like, God endorsed it? Or, like, I am so lost, dude. I am so lost. It is ridiculous.
Physical mantles. And he gave one to the wife, so women can be commissioned. Women can be mantled by God, right, to function in the earth with his power and his glory.
Oh, he's explaining his reasoning for believing that women can be preachers, even though 1 Timothy, I think, 1 Timothy 2:12 clearly says that they should not be teachers. Oh, fascinating.
And it was a team ministry. They had the ability to bring dominion to the earth. But you got to pay attention to these coats. Notice it was plural. It means there was more than one for Adam and one for Eve. Now go back.
Dude, I don't even know what he's talking about.
To Genesis 9. In verse 21, he's in his tent. And notice what happens.
Now he's talking about Noah. Noah was in his tent, naked, I believe, drunk. And now Ham is about to walk in. I think that's what he's referring to. That is Genesis 9, basically.
Uncovered. Verse 22. And as Ham, underline Ham, he is the father of who? Canaan. Who was Israel's enemies? The giants, the Canaanites.
The giants? They were Nephilim. They were the product of, like, angels or demons mating with humans, right? That's what the giants were. In reality, the Canaanites were just a people group that lived in the area at the same time as the Jews. And there was a lot of cultural mixing between the two. The Canaanites got some culture from the Jews, and the Jews got gods from the Canaanites. There are a lot of Canaanite gods mentioned in the Bible. In fact, Jews were not even monotheists originally. Jews believed in many of the gods that Canaanites believed in long and long ago. But Hank Kunneman's claim is that Noah lived through the flood in an ark and had a son named Ham, and then Ham had a son named Canaan, and Canaan gave birth to the Canaanites collectively. And that's why they're super hated, because of Ham being gay or whatever. It's just complete nonsense. None of it makes any sense at all. It's made up, every last bit of it. It was not the first gay act. It didn't say anything about that. But does Hank Kunneman care about any of this stuff? Does he care that the facts do not match up with his beliefs? No, of course he doesn't. Never cared about any of that. All he cares about is spreading his nonsense far and wide.
We'll look at what they were part of and what this act was part of. This was incest. This was rape. It was a homosexual act.
There's no reason to think that Ham did any of that stuff. No.
First one recorded. And this was no joke, because this began to give birth. This curse that you're about to see got passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. And you'll see that the curse was pronounced upon Canaan, the son of Ham, even though Ham was the one that did the act. It's because Exodus 34 says that the iniquities, the purposeful sins of the fathers shall be passed down upon their children.
Yeah, and that was undone. When Jesus died, people don't suffer for the sins of their parents anymore. Is Hank going to pay any attention to that? Is he even going to mention that? Or is he just going to ignore it? Is he going to pretend that it never happened?
Now, sexual sins, this is why if you're married, you don't commit adultery. If you are not married, you don't commit fornication.
Okay, that's not why I don't commit adultery, actually. It's because I love my wife. Now, bad news for you there, Hank. I'm not above committing fornication. If I were not married, I would still be, with my wife. Or my girlfriend, I guess it'd be my girlfriend if I wasn't married. But, I don't know why I'm even playing into his ridiculous framing here.
If you are married or unmarried, you don't commit pornography.
Don't tell me what to do.
Because sexual sin is very dangerous. There's demons that are attached to it, and it carries curses up to 10 generations. You say, but I've been...
No, it doesn't. Jesus canceled all that out.
And it carries curses up to 10 generations. You say, but I've been redeemed from the curse. Well, then why do you have the sniffles? Why?
What the hell is he talking? Why do you have the sniffles? What? Jesus redeemed everybody from curses. People do not suffer for the sins of their fathers anymore.
You have sinuses. Why does your body get attacked with sickness? Because the enemy is always trying to challenge what you've been redeemed from. Iniquity is purposeful sin. It means either to bend towards it or it means to bend away from it.
Actually, iniquity is just like immoral behavior. That's what iniquity means.
And in every generation, depending upon the sins of your forefathers, they will knock on the doors of the children. And they'll try to get the children to bend towards what they committed in sin. But there is something that has the power to restrain it. It is called generational blessing. And when the mother and the father choose to walk in a way of rightness and a way of righteousness before God, that iniquity is broken and it cannot have a cause towards your children. And your children will then bend towards what the fathers bend towards or the mothers bend towards.
Like, what he's saying is all canceled out. It was all canceled by Jesus. None of this represents reality. This is all fabricated. I don't even know what he's talking about right now.
This is why do what is right in the sight of God. Are you here? And for the sake of your children. So Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness. Now, underline the word saw. In Genesis chapter 1, when God created the heavens and the earth, and it was 6 days, and the Bible says that after every day, God what? Saw that it was good. The word saw, literally in the Hebrew, means this. It means to enjoy what you're looking at.
No, it doesn't. I talked about this in the previous one that he did on January 29th. He made this exact argument. No, it does not mean that. The word saw in that verse is not only used in positive contexts, but it is also used in negative contexts. God saw that the people in Sodom and Gomorrah were mistreating the poor, or God saw that it was good, or God saw their wickedness, or whatever. It's not, the word does not imply something good or positive or pleasurable. This is just made up entirely. He's just lying here. He's just fabricating doctrine, false doctrine. This is fascinating, man.
To find pleasure in what you're looking at, and to also literally feel and touch with pleasure and enjoyment.
No, that is not what it means at all.
What you see. Now, when God saw what he made, he enjoyed it. He found pleasure in it.
He fondled it? Would you say that God fondled his creation?
He touched it, but it was not perverse.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be perverse is what you're saying, or it doesn't have to be sexual, because that's the implication he's laying out for us here. Look, let me just explain what he's talking about real quick. So Hank Kunneman is talking about Ham walking into the tent and seeing his father. It says he saw Noah lying there naked. He comes out, tells his brothers that he saw his father and his little buns or whatever. And his brothers go in and they cover him up. Now, Hank's claim, that was Ham that saw that. Hank's claim is that the word used there, the word saw, means looked at in a pleasurable way and acted upon that desire. Basically, the word saw literally means he wanted to sleep with his dad, and he actually took action to do so. So there's this thing called the interlinear version of the Bible. Okay, yeah, here we go. So Genesis 9:20, interlinear Bible is a Bible that gives us exact word-for-word translations of the original language, what it originally meant. So we can look at the words that were translated, and we can look at other contexts in which those words were used, right? So here's Genesis 9:20 talking about the situation. Oh, and it's not formatted for English readers either, so you'll get the idea as we go. A vineyard, and he planted of the soil a man, Noah, and began to be, it's verse 21, his tent within, and he was uncovered, and became drunk the wine of, and he drank, here's 22, and he told of his father the nakedness of Canaan the father, Ham, and saw, verse 23, the shoulders on and laid it a garment, and Japheth, Shem, blah, blah, blah. So it's basically, again, it's not formatted for like English readers. It's just laid out exactly as it's written in the original language. The word and saw here is wayar. I know I'm mispronouncing. I apologize. But let me give you some other context in which the term saw was used. This exact word was used multiple times in the Bible. Here's some other context, because Hank Kunneman claims the word saw here, wayar, means looked at with pleasure and, did things to it. Here's some other context. And God saw that it was good. From the darkness saw, and God that it was, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just cutting off half sentences here. And God saw the wickedness of man. Huh, that's weird. If it's a good, pleasurable word that implies that you took action and did something that was against the rules, like sleeping with a dude, for example, you wouldn't expect to see the word used in a negative context in the original language. Odd? Is Hank Kunneman just like lying right now? I mean, he's certainly wrong. He's building false doctrine here. But is he doing it knowingly is what I want to know. Is he building this false doctrine while being aware of the fact that he's wrong? Is he building false doctrine while realizing that this is incorrect? Or does he really believe his own lies? That's really the question. Anyway, I just want to set that straight. The word saw, as he's using it here, does not mean looked at with pleasure, enjoyed, and took action upon. That is nonsense.
enjoyed it. He found pleasure in it. He touched it, but it was not perverse. When Ham saw, same word, his dad naked in the tent, there was pleasure. He lusted.
That does not. There's no reason to believe that. There's no implication about that in the Bible at all. He is reading beyond what the words say. Fundamentalist Hank Kunneman, guy that reads the Bible plainly as it's written or whatever. Fundamentalist Hank Kunneman has decided to reinterpret the Bible to mean something other than what it says.
It was a perverse spirit that was knocking on the door of Ham's heart, and Ham began to touch it and desire it and take it for himself and committed homosexuality. And I'll prove it to you.
Oh, he's going to prove it. Okay.
Saw the nakedness. It's not that he just saw his dad without clothes. This is genitalia. He saw his genitals. Okay?
Saw his genitals? What? What is he even talking about right now? What does this mean? How is saw genitals? He said that this is the exact same word used when God described looking at his own creation after creating it. How can saw mean genitals if it's the exact same word? He's just making this up. This is just a lie. What the hell is he going on about right now?
And he saw it with enjoyment. That's what that word saw means. He saw it with pleasure.
No.
He even touched it with pleasure.
No.
And he went and he told his two brothers. Go to verse 23. Here's what happens. And Shem, who is the origin of the Jews, because if you read in the book of Genesis chapter 10, you will see where the origin of Shem, he gave birth, Terah to Abram. The Israelites came from this lineage. Japheth was the European, British nations.
I mean, this is all fabricated. It's all religious stuff. So in reality, human beings came out of Africa and spread to the rest of the world. We didn't come from a single person like that or whatever, the way that he's describing. Like Noah and his, 8 people total, including Noah, all got on a boat and floated around for ever and then produced the rest of the world? No, that did not happen. He's claiming all of these people groups came from singular individual people. What?
Russia, you don't read much.
Zada Huggle, speaking of imprecatory prayers, did anyone outside Colorado Springs see pray for Obama, Psalm 109:8 bumper stickers? Or was it just a Colorado Springs thing? I remember that one. Pray for him to die, right? Psalm 108. Oh, no, 109. Let his days be few, let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. Yep. Pray for death. That's psychotic, man. Absolutely psychotic. What is wrong with people? Literally praying for death.